Hello, welcome to our podcast. This is episode 8, I believe, just after probably our biggest episode, episode 7. Highest view count we got on that episode last time. Rundown: the MLB is in the midst of the playoffs. The last series is currently playing between Boston and the Yankees. Um, then after the MLB, we'll go to the NFL. Then after the NFL, we will go to the NCAA, and then that will be it for tonight. So, quick little rundown. The playoffs for the MLB was the wild card round. Um, Last night the Dodgers beat the Reds, and then today the Cubs beat the Padres, and then the Tigers beat the Cleveland Guardians. And as I mentioned earlier, the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees are playing right now. Whoever wins that will go on to play the number one seed of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, Jarrett. Three of the four wild card games, those games being Tigers Guardians, Red Sox Yankees, Reds Dodgers, and Padres Cubs, went to a decisive game three. The only quote unquote sweep was the Reds and Dodgers. So that's already made for some very, very exciting baseball. So as you said, Jared, the 6 seed Tigers beat the 3 seed Guardians 2 games to 1. The Tigers move on to play Seattle. And as of now, bottom of the second, the Red Sox at Yankees tied at 0 with two very young pitchers dueling it out. The winner of this game will go on to play the Toronto Blue Jays. And then just a little bit ago,
Wanna know what's crazy?
what's that?
Boston, New York, and Toronto are all in the same division.
Yeah, yeah. As are, the Brewers and the Cubs. It's a division matchup there. It's going to be in the division round. But the Cubs just beat the Padres in a very exciting game, 3-1. So then they move on to play the 1 seed Brewers. And then, as we mentioned, the Dodgers swept the Reds, and the Dodgers move on to play the Phillies. The NL has been chalk so far. Of course, the Brewers and Phillies were already in, but the Dodgers 3 seed and Cubs 4 seed, they advance, and Tigers were the 6 seed and they advanced, taking out the 3 seed Guardians. No, not so much chalk in the AL so far, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
All right. That was a quick little MLB rundown. What you thinking on to the NFL? Or is there anything more in MLB you think we need to discuss?
I want to talk about the Tigers for a minute and the tale of two teams. Yesterday, the Tigers lost. So they lose. They lose yesterday, and they leave. I think it was 15 runners that they left on base, and they lose the game. So as a Tigers fan, that was very, very, very upsetting. They lose the game 6-1, but leave 15 runners on base. And when I saw that game, Jared, I thought they were done. But I want to give the Tigers a ton of credit. They did worse than limp into the playoffs. I mean, they let a 15 and a half game lead go and creep into the playoffs as a 6 seed, have to go on the road to Cleveland. I think Cleveland was the team that eliminated them last year. Had to go into
Yeah, I
Cleveland.
think Cleveland beat them in the DS last year.
Yes, I believe you're right. So after leaving 15 ducks on the pond to come back today and to win that game was huge. 10 hits, 6 runs on 10 hits, one error. I want to see how many they left on base today, if it'll even pull it up. Still left 8 on base today, so not great. The Tigers, if they want to continue to advance, amongst maybe some other things, they have got to get runners across because it does not get any easier. So, Jerry, any other thoughts you have on all things Major League Baseball? You want to talk about your Braves and Snickers gone. I know you're sad to hear
Oh,
that.
that reminds me. I am a little sad to hear that Snickers gone, but I saw a post earlier today that Tony Vitello, Tennessee's baseball head coach right now, he was in the midst of names that could fill in that position. I don't see him leaving Tennessee. Just wanted to bring that up. And
Yeah.
then I think we should probably trade Ozzy, at least Sean Murphy. We have Drake Baldwin.
Yep.
See what we can get out of both of those guys.
Yeah.
On to the NFL.
All right. On to the NFL we go. Where do you want to start?
Did we cover? Oh, Monday night games. So as a lot of people know, well, the two Monday night games were Bengals Broncos. Broncos beat the Bengals 28-3. It's gonna be a rough, what, 2 months now for Bengals fans.
Mhm.
You still got no Joe Burrow, and then the Dolphins beat the Jets with a disgusting Tyreek Hill injury. Some people are saying that Tyreek might never play football again, or will not be the same ever again after that knee injury he had against the Jets.
Yeah, they social media showed a still of that injury, and let's just put it this way: your knee is not supposed to bend that way.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, can't miss TV there for a Monday night football. But on we go into week 5. You can believe it.
All right.
Into week 5 right now. The 49ers are playing the Rams. They're at SoFi. And an early update here on Prime. The 49ers lead 7-0. Both teams are 3-1 on the year. There's about 15 seconds left in the first quarter. Matter of fact, the end of the first quarter just ended. And the Niners have the ball, a 3rd and 8 at the Rams 24, so you got to think they're within field goal range.
I saw a meme earlier today about the 49ers. It was like the 49ers offense introducing themselves, and then it said at running back Christian McCaffrey, at wide receiver Christian McCaffrey.
But to that point, Mac Jones is 9 for 11. And again, they just finished the first quarter. They're just about to start the second quarter right now. 9 for 11, 112 yards, and 1 touchdown. McCaffrey is the leading rusher with 19 yards, also the leading receiver with 4 receptions for 43 yards as they play on Prime entering the second quarter.
And then rundown over in England, the Vikings.
Tottenham.
The Vikings are playing the Browns. So Dylan Gabriel's first start will be in that game after they benched Joe Flacco and kept Shador at the 3rd spot. Then the Raiders will play the Colts. The Colts, after last week, seemed like they kind of slowed down. They didn't seem like that team they've been the past few weeks. It didn't look too good against the Rams.
Yeah, at the Rams lose by 7. Again, we've talked. They've not really played anybody yet outside of the Rams. They beat the Dolphins, they beat the Broncos, they beat the Titans, who we're going to talk about them in a little bit. But they have made some movement in the NFL power rankings. So again, I know it's the NFL, but it seems like the one game they've really been challenged to play a decent team or a good team or a team that can potentially win that division or their division. The Rams, talking about the NFC West, they go out there and they lose by 7. So yeah, I think we'll see who they are, coming up soon. Home game, Raiders coming in. You got to think the Colts are a favorite there. Colts got a touchdown favorite according to Vegas. Daniel Jones has already thrown this year for 1,078 yards, 2 interceptions against 4 touchdowns.
And then here's a fun one to watch: Giants Saints.
Yeah, Giants at the Saints. Tickets start as low as $28. Folks, you heard it here first. New Orleans is a 1.5 favorite, with the over/under being 41.5.
I might see the Giants win in that one if they play like how they did last week against the Chargers, especially Dart. Dart did really well last week.
You think Dart gets the start there? You think they go back to Wilson? What do you think?
Brian Daboll and the Giants have said they plan to move on with Dart from now on. I think they're gonna have Russell Wilson as the backup and then Jameis Winston as the third. Then Cowboys, Jets, Broncos, Eagles, Panthers Dolphins. This one might be interesting. Ravens Texans.
Yeah, what's crazy about this Ravens Texans game? It's at Baltimore, but that's not what's crazy. One of these teams is going to be 1-4, going into after this week. We're in week 5, right?
Yeah.
So one of these teams is going to be 1-4 going into the next week of play. So that's interesting. I mean, two teams that typically
Houston's the favorite here too.
Houston's the favorite by a little bit less than a field goal, 2.5. So that's interesting. I mean, two teams that typically and traditionally fight for division championships. One of them's going to end this week 1-4 as the Texans roll into Baltimore. I got Baltimore in that game. Again, the Baltimore, we've chronicled this before. We talked about it, Jair. The Ravens' schedule has been brutal, and the Texans' only win comes against a winless Titans team. So I think the Ravens have the potential to win big there. But if they don't, it is time to sound every panic alarm that you can find in the city of Baltimore, because if they lose to the Texans, it is about as bad as it can get. What do you think, Chair?
I agree with you. It's probably as bad as you can get. I think if whoever loses that game, it's time to hit the panic button.
Yeah.
So.
Because you're reaching we're getting close to the 1/4 pole, of the season here. So you've got a pretty good sample size to know who is who. So this game, I know it's 1-3 versus 1-3, but I mean it's Texans Ravens, and that sounds like playoff matchups in the previous years, right?
Mm-hmm.
But again, one of those teams is going to be 2-3, the other 1-4.
Yeah, and then after that one, you got Titans Cardinals, in Glendale. I don't see the Titans winning that one right now. Like I said last week, we need to fire Callahan or do something, just something to win.
Yeah, didn't the quarterback say we are butt, basically?
Yeah, Cam Ward said
we are butt.
We're butt, and we dropped 1/4 of our games. Of course, he was a little bit more decorated with his sentence.
Well, one of these teams is going to get off the schneid, as it were. The Cardinals have lost 2 in a row to the 49ers and Seahawks, respectively. Close games. They lose. Arizona lost to the Niners 16-15, lost to the Seahawks 23-20, and the Titans are 0-4. So one of these teams is going to turn around a losing streak. So maybe there's some silver lining in there for one of those teams. I think, especially it being in Glendale, I think the Titans drop to 0-5, and the Cardinals will climb to 3-2 in that division that has the Cardinals, that has the Seahawks, that has the Niners, has the Rams. That's a tough division.
Yeah, that's probably the most even division in the entire NFL.
Very difficult division for sure. Here's a good one: Bucks at Seattle. Both teams 3-1, so one of those teams is going to go to 4-1 after this week. I'm really good at math, aren't I? But again, that's the 4:05 kick on CBS. What do you think about that game, Jer? Anything? If you want to go, tickets start at $146.
I think that'll be a fun game to watch. Of course, we'll see how the Buccaneers do in places like that, because I don't think the Buccaneers have played much away games. They've only played 2 away games, but that was at the Texans and the Falcons. Like, I think with a potential playoff team like the Seahawks, I think this is a good time to
going across country, going across the time zones, going to the Pacific Northwest where it's going to be cold, cold to them when you have Tampa as your standard for weather. So yeah, it'll be interesting to say the least. But yeah, that NFC West is crazy.
Yeah.
NFC South, it's the Niners and the Seahawks are tied right now, 3-way tie for the NFC West division lead, and the Buccaneers leading their division by a game. So, essentially 2 division leaders. Again, the NFC West is a 3-way tie right now, and the Cardinals are only 1 game back. So that's gonna be a tricky game. It's gonna be a good game to watch. Maybe a sneaky game. I don't know if maybe nobody's talking about that game. We are.
I agree with that one.
But that's a 3-1, very, very good Buccaneers team, very, very good Seahawks team. So if you're around at 4:05 Eastern, turn on CBS and watch that game. Sam Darnold just continues to amaze what he did in Minneapolis
Yeah.
last year, and basically being told you're not the dude. We drafted JJ, so moving on from Darnold to JJ, and he just packs his bags, goes out to Seattle,
Yeah.
and he started the year with 905 yards, five touchdowns, 2 picks on a team that's now 3-1, and again tied for the division lead. So I think Darnold deserves a lot of credit for the way he's playing, for the way he's handled things.
Yeah.
Um,
I wasn't too sure about that move
I
when
wasn't either.
Darnold went to because when Darnold went to Seattle, because like the Vikings, y'all just went what they go like
Yeah, what, 2 games, three
two
games?
games, 2 3 games. You just went 14-3, 15-2 or whatever, and you're getting rid of the quarterback.
Yeah.
Just for a guy who missed his rookie season because of a knee injury. So I wasn't too sure on that, and then I saw he went to Seattle, and I still wasn't sure on that because Seattle really doesn't have the best of talent in the NFL.
Vikings 14-3 last year and still lost their division because the Lions went 15-2.
Yeah, so like you just went 14-3, and you're letting the quarterback you just had walk to another like decent team, you know. But yeah, Sam has he's been doing really well over there in Seattle, especially with he does have a little bit better of a receiving core, probably not as good as DK Metcalf and JSN, but still got JSN and Cooper Cup. You can squeeze a little bit out of what you can with Cooper Cup. I think it's the only thing the Seahawks did with that signing was just to fill in the hole a little bit that DK left, and then develop and move on with Jackson Smith, and then just have Cooper Cup there as like a mentor basically. But next game is Lions Bengals. So if it couldn't get worse for Bengals fans, here's the Detroit Lions coming to Pangor.
Yeah. Playing on the banks there. Let's see here. Bengals have lost 2 in a row at Vikings, at Broncos. Like, look, we know, with Burrow's hurt, so we're not trying to have any kind of illusion here of anything like that. But yeah, welcoming the Lions in. The Lions are playing as good, if not better, than anybody in the league right now. Uh, again, I wasn't sure. I thought that win in Baltimore was going to be kind of a statement, but that kind of at this point has not really proven to be what I thought it would be. I don't know about you, but Baltimore, their record is not great. But they're playing a lot better, and I don't think anybody wants to play the Lions right now, let alone the Bengals, who are going in there with a second string quarterback and going in against a very, very good 3-1 Lions team. Bengals still holding tight though, man. 2-2, 1-0 at home. So that's why they say that's why you play the game. How do you feel about that game, Jared?
I don't see I don't see the Bengals winning that game. Which the Lions have good cornerbacks, probably have the best safeties in the league with Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph. Kirby Joseph leading the league in interceptions last year. Brian Branch being a guy who can do it all at the safety position. I just don't see Jake Browning throwing too well against that defense,
Yeah.
especially with the edge rushing. Of course, Aiden Hutchinson's playing with a chip on his shoulder
Yeah.
this season after how last season went.
Jared Goff's only thrown 2 interceptions all year. 9 touchdowns to 2 interceptions, working on 1,000 yards already.
Yeah, and Amon-Ra's been going crazy every week as well.
Yeah, already 6 touchdowns on the year. Montgomery went off a couple weeks ago. Gibbs, just the two-headed monster, like you mentioned, that defense. The Lions seem to be the package deal. I know we live in Michigan, but the Lions seem to be a package deal, poised to make a very, very deep run in the playoffs again this year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the 4:25 kick on Fox, Eastern Time, folks. Eastern Time.
Another good one here, Chargers Commanders.
Yeah, what's sneaky and is Justin Herbert already thrown for 1,063 yards, so 1,063, 7 touchdowns against 3 interceptions. That's pretty impressive, especially this early in the year.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the 3-1 Chargers against the 2-2 Commanders there at SoFi. That's another 4:25 kick on Fox. And Chargers a little bit less than a field goal touchdown.
Yeah, I see the Chargers win that one because it's at SoFi. Is Jaden Daniels cleared for that game? I think he is.
Sure, I know.
Yeah, he
McLaren
is.
is ruled out, so their receiver's out. Yes, Jaden is returning, so he will be back from his knee injury. But he also is losing McLaren. So you gain one, and then you lose one. So It
Yeah, I don't see the Commanders really winning this one. Just looking at the injury report, the big names that stick out to me. I don't know too much about NFL players, but but for the Chargers, the two names that really stick out to me on here that are on the injured list is offensive tackle Joe Alt, and then their star safety Derwin James is also out, is questionable, but then for the Commanders, Debo Samuel's questionable, and then Terry McLaurin's out. So I don't really see, and then Mike Sanders still is questionable as well. So I don't see too much coming from the Commanders in this one. Um, by how I think the Chargers are going to also play with a little bit of frustration this week as well, after how last week went, knowing they probably should have lost that game last week to the Giants. But I think I don't see the Commanders winning that one.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, if there's not a chip on your shoulder, if you're an LA Charger, if there's not a chip on your shoulder, like, with all due respect, but after losing to the Giants, then you probably need to go find something else to do because that was a terrible loss for the Chargers. Give the Giants all the credit in the world, but yeah, I expect the Chargers to come out and handle their business, and I need Herbert to play well because he's my starting quarterback on my fantasy team.
And then Monday
NB-
night, Chiefs Jags.
NBC.
And Chiefs Jaguars. That'll be a fun one, especially with how the Chiefs played last week against especially how the Chiefs played last week against the Jaguars. The teams with a bye this week are Falcons, Browns, Packers, and Saints.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that'll be a good game to watch for the Jags Chiefs one. That one is in Jacksonville. Um, I really see that game going either way on who wins or who doesn't win. Anything else?
Yeah, again, the NBC, Saturday night, Carrie Underwood special, 8:20 Eastern, Patriots at Bills. Again, going to learn even more about those Vrabel Patriots as they roll into Highmark on its swan song season. And then Monday night, as you mentioned, Chiefs at Jaguars. The Chiefs are coming off a win against the Ravens team, but who knows who that team is right now. So we will see. We're going to learn a lot about the Jaguars. They are home. They're 3-1. Are the Jaguars coming off a win at San Francisco, 26-21. So some good football games this week in the NFL. And as we continue our march, we're already in October. Can you believe that? Already in October. So the most wonderful time of the year, isn't it?
It is. Now the power rankings that I've released on Tuesday for the NFL. We'll just do a quick rundown of the top 10 here. The top three has not changed. The Eagles, Bills, Lions. Up fourth, they went up 6 spots from the week prior, is the Los Angeles Rams. They played, Puka Nacua played really well.
13 catches, 170 yards, and a critical fourth down score. Puka Nacua. That is like Madden stuff right there. That's unbelievable. And yeah, it says the Colts threw the kitchen sink at him, and no avail. He briefly did go to the locker room with an injury right after halftime, but still finished 13 catches, 170 yards, critical fourth down score to tie the game late. And the Los Angeles coming back in the fourth quarter to beat a good Indy team. Playoff-like atmosphere was endured. Colts tried to kick the door open a few times. Rams still need to solve their third down woes. And the run game did almost nothing in the second half. Quality victory on the heels of a tough loss to Philly. That's according to NFL.com.
And then number 5, up 8 spots, is the Seattle Seahawks. JSN has been doing everything for that team, it says here on NFL.com. Had a win over the Cardinals, and then Sam Darnold has also been playing well. So standouts for Seattle has probably been Jackson Smith, Kenneth Walker, and Sam Darnold. At 6th is the Green Bay Packers.
Too high.
Probably.
Too high.
They've been having too many close games. I'd keep them in the top 10 still, but I would not have them at 6. I'd probably have them at like ninth, probably. And then down 2 spots is the 7th ranked Buccaneers. Down 4 spots is the LA Chargers.
Too low.
Back into the top 10 is the Kansas City Chiefs at 9. And then down 1 spot at 10, rounding out the top 10, are the Colts. The teams that dropped out of the top 10 were the Commanders and the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore is down after how last week went.
So they're saying Baltimore's right in the middle of the pack out of, 32 teams. They've got Baltimore at 16. Again, pretty fluid still. Jeremiah, you've got, your 10th team down a rank, a position in the rankings. Your 9th team, up 2, the Chiefs jumping into the top 10. Slide of 4 for the Chargers down to 8. Slide of 2 for the Buccaneers down to 7. The Packers held tight at 6. Massive climb for the Seahawks, up 8. So they were 13th coming in to the this week. Massive jump again for the Rams. They were 10th. Now they're 4th. And again, top 3 each holding serve. Respectively, Eagles, Bills, Lions, Rams. Hard to argue with those top 4 teams, in my opinion. My thing right now is look at the NFC. You got the Eagles, you've got the Lions, you've got the Rams, you've got the Packers, you've got the Bucks. Yeah, so it's towards the top. So I know it might be split, but you've got some pretty. You got a lot of NFC firepower at the top here. So perhaps those that write these and those that are part of this think that the NFC is pretty tough this year. Jared, what do you think about the NFC versus the AFC and kind of what you're thinking right now?
It's good right now, and it looks like the NFC has been the better conference, though. How many NFC teams are in the top 10? Philly, Detroit, LA, Seattle, Green Bay. I'm blanking. Is Tampa
Bucks.
Bay in the NFC?
Bucks.
Yes, Bucks. And then the last 3 are all in the AFC. So that's what, 7 teams? 6 teams?
Yeah, 6 and 4.
So
NFC
teams
heavy.
are in the NFC. Right now, just the NFC has been the better conference right now. Of course, doesn't help when one of the AFC's big leaders has been falling through the NFL ranks, like Baltimore has been recently.
Yeah, even the top part of like the league overall. I know we're just 4 games in, folks. We're aware of that, but you got the Eagles at 4-0, Niners at 3-1, Lions at 3-1, Bucks at 3-1, Seahawks at 3-1, Rams at 3-1. Packers at 2-1-1, Falcons at 2-2, Vikings at 2-2. You've got the Bears at 2-2. You got a lot of teams that at that 500 mark or better. Again, I know we're just 4 games in, but it's just interesting to me. Not trying to say anything here or there that 60% of the top 10 comes out of the NFC.
Yeah. And then
San Francisco has scored again. They lead now 14-0 over the Rams. As we're talking about the Rams, they're getting beat. The Rams have the ball 1st and 10 at their own 15 right now, 6:11 to go before the half.
Rams might drop in the next set of power rankings after this.
They might. San Francisco 49ers trying to get the 4-1.
They're trying. So yeah, new bottom team in the NFL. It was the New Orleans Saints. Now it is the Tennessee Titans. This full paragraph is from NFL.com. It was another frustrating day for the offense, and Cam Ward had trouble hiding his irritation after the game. It's hard to blame him, even if the number 1 overall pick's play hasn't elevated this team. Right now, things are bad in all 3 places. The Titans not only didn't score after changing play callers, they also didn't run a single play inside Houston's 23-yard line. Joey Sly missed 2 field goals. The defense faded late, allowing 2 explosive plays, a 37-yarder on 2nd and 33, and a 24-yard pass when it was still a normally close game. There's nowhere to go but up now. So they're saying the Titans cannot play any worse football than they are right now.
Here's the point: they cannot fall in the power rankings anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Stuck here.
they're at the bottom. They're in the basement.
So it's rough being a Giants fan right now.
Rough.
That Vrabel firing. It all started when we played. I think it was like the end of the 2022-2023 season. We played the Patriots. Ryan Tannehill was still our starter at the time, and he was terrible that game. He threw 3 picks or something like that, and then he came. And then I think the very next season, the last season we had Tannehill as our starter, he came back and threw even more interceptions. And then when we finally started Will Levis, it started to look good for us. But then Will Levis had the season he had last year. And just ever since that Patriots game a couple years ago, and Tannehill threw those like 4 interceptions in that game, I was like, this is the beginning of the end for the Giants. We might not make playoffs for a while.
Yeah, and you're building that big, beautiful stadium. So here's something interesting staying in the NFL, particularly traveling to the AFC North. Every team in the AFC North, so that's Steelers, Bengals, Ravens, Browns, neither one of them has a positive point difference. That means each of these teams have given up more points than they have scored. Steelers are -2 point differential. The Bengals are -58 point differential. The Ravens are -2 differential, and the Browns are -46. That's pretty interesting. That you have an entire division, a negative point differential. You almost have that in the NFC South as well. The Buccaneers differential is 0. They've scored 97 points and given up 97 points. Falcons -10, Panthers -20, and Saints -55. On the other end of that, Jerry, you have the NFC West, that division we're talking about that is so brutal. Every one of those teams has a positive point differential. The Niners +5, Seahawks +44, Rams +19. That is changing by the moment now. And the Cardinals are +8. So what do you think, Jerry? An entire division with a negative point differential. 3 out of 4 with a negative, with the fourth at even. And then the NFC West, the entire division has scored more points than they have given.
That just tells you how close the NFC West is. That that tells you what these other divisions might need to start picking it up a little bit, or just keep playing good football.
Yeah.
What's interesting to me too is that the only 2 undefeated teams are Philadelphia and Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
So could that be? I know it's only week 5. Could that be a Super Bowl matchup to look out for?
I don't think anybody would be surprised if that's the matchup. You're talking about your Titans earlier. They're the only team in the AFC South that has a negative point differential. But yeah, only 2 teams, like you said, Jer. The mighty Buffalo Bills and the Philadelphia Eagles, the only teams without a blemish in that loss column. Both teams coming in at 4-0, which I definitely think. If you say you'd be surprised to see both those teams, play each other late in February, I don't think there's any surprise there. So interesting. Only 2 teams left, without a blemish as we come into this week. All right.
So here in college football, right now the college game day is going to be at Alabama Vanderbilt in Tuscaloosa. I think that'll be a fun game to watch. I think if Vanderbilt loses, though, that'll probably be a really big humbling for them. Of course, Diego Pavia hasn't been talking as much as he normally does. But I think that'll be a testing game for Vanderbilt. Like, can you really bark in the SEC and defend yourselves? Because of course Diego went around saying they can beat Tennessee, we can beat Georgia, we can beat Alabama. Now's your chance to prove it and see if all the talk you've done matter, or if you'll just be getting laughed at again, because I know Vanderbilt said they don't want to be the doormat, the laughing stock of the SEC. This is probably the game to prove it. To prove you're no longer the doormat or the laughing stock of the SEC.
Yeah, we also talked about this week about how many teams it seemed like have a bye week. You know, after last week, we're going to take this week off, so the schedule gives them a break. Taking a bye week, you have just going through the top 25 here. You have BYU home against West Virginia. You've got Georgia home against Kentucky. Georgia by 1,000. You have Iowa State at Cincinnati. You have Wisconsin at Michigan. You have Illinois at Purdue. Clemson 1-3. None of these teams are ranked, but Clemson, North Carolina, that'll be interesting. Continuing to just look for some ranked teams that are playing this week. You have Penn State at UCLA at the Rose Bowl. Penn State by 90.
Yeah. I saw a few interesting facts here for UCLA. Apparently, Chris Brazzell has more reception yards than UCLA's entire receiving corps. And then Nico Maliava has 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And apparently, UCLA might go 0-12. And UCLA has not led 1 second of a game.
You're saying there's a Tennessee Volunteer receiver who has more reception yards than the entire UCLA receiving corps combined. Is that what you just said a minute ago?
Yes. And then the second stat is UCLA has not led a game for more than 1 second. So there's not been a second where UCLA has had 7-0, 10-7, any score you can think of. UCLA has never had more points than their opponent in one game.
They have yet to lead, huh?
They have yet to lead, despite going a full staff change a couple weeks ago.
0-4.
So yeah, they're 0-4, and if you look at the rest of the schedule, I do not see another win besides maybe Maryland.
Maybe.
Outside of that,
I agree. Pretty tough sledding.
It's really rough.
Home this week. Home Penn State. Then they go to Lansing to play Michigan State. Home against Maryland, and then to Bloomington to play Indiana. Home against a very good Nebraska team. Then at Ohio State, and then home to Washington. Then they close the year at USC, who is no longer ranked. They got ranked for a little bit, and then they weren't.
Not looking too good for UCLA, despite everything they've had happen.
Yeah, and then you got, again, Penn State rolling in there, who just, lost, heartbreaker, and, double overtime. They're going to be looking to right the ship, and that's too strong a word. I mean, you lost to a very good Oregon team, but they're going to be looking to make a statement. Texas, ranked 9 at Florida. Then the big game you talked about, at least on paper for this week, is 5-0 Vandy going into Bryant-Denny there in Tuscaloosa. Both teams 1-0 in the SEC. Vandy 5-0 overall. Bama 3-1 overall. Bama just coming off a win where?
In Athens. So Bama, both of these teams are coming in riding on a ton of confidence. This is Vandy's best season ever, probably. And then Alabama's coming off a really, really big win.
Massive win.
So, because you just snapped a 6-year win streak at Athens. So, both of these teams coming in on a high confidence. So it'll be a fight for sure in Bryant-Denny.
Pavia, listen to these numbers for Pavia this year: 1,211 yards, 13 touchdowns against only 3 interceptions. But they're going in there against a...
Vanderbilt hasn't played anybody, though.
That was my point.
Their only thing is South Carolina, but look at South Carolina right now.
Yeah. So, they're going in there against the men from Tuscaloosa. They have Bama at a 10.5-point favorite with the 55.5 overall.
Have you seen the second half of Vanderbilt's schedule?
Yes, we've talked about it a little bit.
I think we talked about it before, but after Auburn, they get a bye week, and then they go to Rocky Top.
Yeah. So the rest of Vandy's schedule this week at Bama, and then they go home against LSU, home against Missouri, at Texas, home against a very good Auburn team, bye week against Kentucky, and then close the year off at Neyland. So their cupcakes are done, right?
No more.
Again, you're playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more ranked teams. The only teams you're playing that are not ranked are Auburn, who has been ranked, and then Kentucky, who that program right now is just in shambles. So it's going to be tough. But again, they can only play the game that's before them right now, and that is rolling in Vanderbilt. That is rolling into Tuscaloosa, bringing an untarnished record with them, 5-0. So that's the game. That's where again game day is going to be. That is the 3:30 p.m. kick on ABC. I'm guessing that's going to be Herb Street and Fowler and all that. You got Boise State rolling into Notre Dame.
Ranked versus former ranked.
Ranked versus former. Yep. You've got the now ranked Virginia 4-1 going to Louisville to play the Cardinals. Just again looking for some just ranked games here. Not a
$87 to go to a Northwestern game.
Yeah. Kent State rolling into Norman to play Oklahoma. Oklahoma by 1,000. A 3-1 Michigan State, 3-1 Nebraska. None of these teams are ranked as far as Michigan State and Nebraska.
That'll be a fun one, but
That'll be
Nebraska's going to win that
I think
one.
Nebraska's going to win. We talked about this one a little bit. Texas Tech 4-0, Houston 4-0. Again, by everything we've looked on the records for the schedule, neither one of these teams have really played anybody.
Texas Tech still a big favorite, though.
But one of these teams, they got Texas Tech by 11.5, over under 52.5. One of these teams is going to be 5-0 and 2-0 in the Big 12, taking a big step to being, that Big 12, that one team representing the Big 12 in the college playoff. So Texas Tech ranked 11, and they roll into Houston this weekend. Again, Minnesota rolling into Ohio Stadium to play Ohio. We talked about this a little bit too. It's the 7:30 p.m. kick on ABC. Miami versus Florida State. Miami is national championship good. If you want a seat, you're going to pay $300 to put your hiney in a seat there at Doak Campbell. Again, Florida State coming off a tough loss in overtime to Virginia. Now Virginia's ranked. So Miami going to roll in there. Mississippi State held their own against a very, very good Tennessee team. Give them all the credit in the world. But how about that? Congratulations, Mississippi State. You played Tennessee, and then we're gonna send you into Kyle Field against the 12th man. Enjoy, have a good time, all the above. And that's it as far as ranked. As far as ranked teams. I think we were kind of spoiled last week. I know I was there. Last Saturday might have been one of the best Saturdays in college football.
That was the best week we've had since week 1
ever. I just had multiple TVs on in the house and going from phone to TV to, app, from one app to the next, just trying to keep an eye on everything that was going on. And I'll just say I think college football, it's arguably my favorite sport outside of, it's hard to beat college basketball's March Madness, but, college football sure is fun.
It is.
So we talked about the rankings on Monday. Anything else, Gary, you want to talk about? Any surprises? NASCAR, we talked about that a lot on Monday. Got pretty fired up. I know I did.
I definitely did.
They head into the Roval. Does NASCAR again? The Roval is Charlotte Motor Speedway, where they run the Coke 600, one of the crown jewels for NASCAR. But this time they use the oval, so the 1.5 mile oval, and they also use the road course infield. So it's half road course, half oval, and they put a couple of chicanes, one on the back stretch for sure. One of the front stretches are coming to start finish. So if you've never watched NASCAR, now is your time. What are you doing? Because this will be a great race. The only two drivers that are safe for sure because of their win are Ryan Blaney and Chase Elliott, and then Kyle Larson, due to his points position, is feeling really, 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 really good. But this is a cutoff race. So after this race, they're going to cut it from 12 to 8. And again, the playoff format, every 3 races, 4 drivers are eliminated.
I can see Ross Chastain moving on. He's solid at the Roval.
Ross scares the crap out of me because nobody's talking about him. He's just doing...
Because he's on Trackhouse.
Everyone doing his job.
Everyone sees Ross as like, oh, he's just that Trackhouse guy. What's he going to do in the playoffs?
Yep.
This Trackhouse, ever since they've been founded and ever since Daniel Suarez has been rough, and then they got SVG. No one really looks at Trackhouse because Ross Chastain, he's quiet, and then Daniel Suarez is not going to be in the Cup Series next year.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
SVG can only win at road courses. So other than that, Trackhouse doesn't really cause much attention. That's why a lot of
Yeah.
people are looking off Ross in these playoffs.
Well, think about the lineup for next year for Trackhouse. You've got Zilich coming over, who is dominating the AAA Xfinity, which that's what Xfinity is, the AAA, dominating that series. You're going to have Ross Chastain and SVG, Shane Van Gisbergen. Driver to watch this week is Shane Van Gisbergen. He's a road course ringer. He can just make his car do things on road courses that nobody else can do. Chase Elliott, incredible at the Roval and on road courses. Doesn't have to do anything though. He's through no matter what. So after
Chase
this,
shouldn't be through no matter what.
yeah, why is that?
Well, like, you know why. Denny Hamlin cleared a path for him.
Yeah. Oh man. But again, all the drivers are on the track. But after this race, 4 drivers will be done, and there'll be 8 that are alive to continue to fight for the championship. This next round, the round of 8, is brutal. Jeremiah, you have the 1.5 miles at Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the wild card of wild cards in Talladega, and then you have the Bull Ring, which is Martinsville. And after Martinsville is another cutoff race, and then the final race of the year for the championship at Phoenix Raceway there in Phoenix, Arizona. Again, doesn't get any easier.
I'm so glad it's going back to Homestead next year.
But if a playoff driver wins at either Vegas, Dega, or at Martinsville, they're through to the Final Four, no matter what, to the championship 4. It's crazy having Dega and Martinsville back to back.
There's a reason Denny Hamlin is nervous about the round of 8. He posted about it before the playoffs, like he was doing a quick Q&A for the playoffs, because why not? And someone said, what round are you most nervous for? He said the round of 8. You're going to want teammates in the round of 8. Because, of course, Vegas, but that second race, you're going to definitely want teammates at Talladega. And now you got 2 Toyotas, possibly 3, depending on how salty Christopher Bell is or not. He's probably not. But you got 2 Toyotas that are right now probably very mad at you. One being your teammate, the other being your very own car.
Yeah, agreed. You punted your teammate and almost took out another teammate when you punted the 54 of Ty Gibbs and almost caught the 20 of Seabell. And the very next week, your own team, 2311,
you're in their chance to move on to the next round.
Run him right up into the wall. Just again, the stuff this week on Denny Hamlin's podcast, Actions Detrimental. I could only turn the wheel this far, and then it would click, and then you just watch him hang a left to door Chase Elliott and continue to chase him virtually to the grass as they come to start finish. And Chase's spotter is screaming, "Get away, get away, get away," because everybody that was watching that race, whether in the grandstands or on TV, knew if Denny could have got to Chase's right rear, he was going to hook him. He's going to move him.
Did you see where Hocevar got fined $50,000 for behavioral issues?
I did, and I know why they did it. If you don't know, Carson Hocevar was in an accident or incident, and as the safety crews got there, he spun out or something to take off because he didn't want to get put on the hook or whatever. And this kind of thing kind of happens all the time. But I think that thing might have more to do with Hocevar, who has a reputation of being aggressive. So how do you feel about that, Jerry? You think it's just because he's Hocevar, or do you think this penalty is merited?
I think $50K is way too much for just trying to get his car to move. I would see you finding him a little bit, and with it being behavioral issues, I probably would have fined him maybe, I don't know, 10K, 15K, but not 50,000 for trying to get his car back to pit road. That's just what I think on it.
Yeah, here's NASCAR.com. Hocevar, give me a minute. Check 1 2. Hocevar's number 77 Spire Motorsports Chevrolet spun to a halt on the backstretch of the 260th lap of the Hollywood Casino 400 there in Kansas. flattening multiple tires. After safety personnel had arrived at the crash scene, officials indicated that Hocevar revved and spun his tires in an attempt to rejoin the field, while those safety workers attended to his car. Now that can't happen. There's not an excuse for that.
Mhm.
So they're saying Hocevar violated sections 4.4 B and D, NASCAR member conduct of the NASCAR rulebook. Competition officials ensued a $50,000 fine. So, yeah, they're saying, as he got there, I know I was listening to NASCAR radio today, and even like Mike Bagley, who was calling the race, he goes, I didn't see it. He said, I think it's a little aggressive, a
That's what
little
I think.
much. Again, safety personnel's there. They arrive at the crash scene, and they indicate, which is weird, that Hocevar revved, spun his tires in an attempt to rejoin the field while the safety workers were attending to his car. Now, you obviously want to keep safety workers safe. We appreciate what they do so much, having to get to these scenes real quick. And, these guys have saved lives before. They're trained. They flip cars. If the cars land on their hood, they can safely flip them. But this just seems a little excessive to me. I think it's because of the last name Hocevar.
Yeah, like I love NASCAR and all, but NASCAR's got to have the weirdest officials and head of the programs in the rule book,
Yeah, not
and
not
out
to
of
be
any other
to be
sport.
clear, they have the right. Does Hocevar aspire, the 77 team? They have the right to appeal, and that appeal goes to a different committee outside of NASCAR to keep things on the up and up. It goes before a committee, so it's possible and hopeful, probable even, that they'll look at this and either rescind it or minimize. I do think there needs to be some punishment if this. I didn't see it. If this indeed did happen, if you got guys there,
They
safety
did.
crew
They
guys
they released video of it.
trying to no reason to believe it didn't, but if you have guys they're trying to help and outside the car and you're revving it up and you take off, I mean the worst can happen. So there needs to be something there. But again, do we punish off what could have happened versus what did happen? Again, nobody's questioning the severity of this. Don't misunderstand us. But I think this is because of who he is and some of the incidents and run-ins he's had this year. I think it's a Hocevar fine. It's more than a NASCAR fine.
Yeah. Wait, few little side notes. The WNBA has also striked out a little bit. Players are talking back to the WNBA commissioner for rightful reasons. Nafisa Collier had words on that the other day, and the WNBA finals tip off tomorrow night. It's the Phoenix Mercury versus the Las Vegas Aces. I see the Aces winning this one, and I think three-peating if they win again this week. My bracket's cooked for the MLB playoffs. But yeah, and then the other day, after the Lynx lost to the Phoenix Mercury, Nafisa Collier discussed. She said in February, she discussed with the WNBA commissioner about how the WNBA commissioner feels about how Paige, Angel, and Caitlin, and just the players. She used Paige, Angel, and Caitlin because they're right now the three moneymakers for the WNBA. She said she asked the commissioner, "What do you think about these Paige, Angel, and Caitlin being underpaid in their first 4 years?" Then Nafisa said that the WNBA commissioner said that that Caitlin should be grateful that she's making 16 million off the court because she would make nothing with the platform the WNBA gives her. Um, a lot of fans are like, "You sure about that one?" And then, so yeah, it was just a little interesting. And then, so the players are not too happy right now with the WNBA. They did wear "Pay Us What You Owe Us" shirts. So like, just be clear with them. They don't want to get paid NBA money, but right now the players get paid 9% of what the WNBA makes annually in a video I saw. So I just think that's unfair. You have 12 teams, and the players are and all the players are consisting of 9% of that. What do you think on that entire situation that Nafisa and the commissioner discussed at Unrivaled last year? Because that's why Nafisa Collier and I think Brianna Stewart went on to make Unrivaled, so the players could make some money in the off season. Um, just so the players can make some money in the off season, play basketball in the off season. That's the whole reason they made Unrivaled last year.
Let's give a quick update in the bottom of the fourth, going to the top of the fifth. Boston 0, New York Yankees 4. So at this point, I know a lot of things can change early in the game, but at this point, the Yankees lead the Red Sox 4-0 there at Yankee Stadium.
And then, if you want to, my favorite, the NBA, they the power rankings released today for the NBA as well. So if you want to go through and talk about these, we can.
Where are the power rankings on NBA.com? Or are they on?
I'm looking at the ones here on ESPN.
You go ahead. I'll catch up with you and try to find it.
I'll just go through and name all of the all right, so I'm gonna go through all. There are only 20 here. Looks like there's only 26 teams in this power rankings list. So I will go through and tell you, and I'll just quick fire these. So if you need to slow down or pause or whatever. But number one, probably because they're your defending champs and didn't really make too much moves, are the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Houston Rockets, the Denver Nuggets, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the New York Knicks, the Minnesota Timberwolves, the LA Clippers. I think that's a little high on the Clippers. The Orlando Magic, the Golden State Warriors, the Los Angeles Lakers, the Detroit Pistons, the Atlanta Hawks, the Dallas Mavericks, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Memphis Grizzlies, the San Antonio Spurs, the Boston Celtics, the Philadelphia 76ers.
Celtics at 17.
They didn't really add anybody. They just a lot of departures out of Boston.
Tatum missing the whole year because of his Achilles.
He might actually come back.
Okay.
He might actually come back, which is crazy. 5 months off Achilles surgery, and he might come back sooner.
Yeah.
I think a possible return date is by the end of the first half of the season.
Yeah, but no doubt that's why they're 17, playing at least a half, if not a full year without your leader. Jason Tatum certainly will impact your standings and your win losses.
Philadelphia, the Miami Heat, the Indiana Pacers. I feel like the Pacers dropped a lot because Tyrese Halliburton.
No doubt.
Portland Trailblazers, Sacramento Kings, Chicago Bulls, Toronto Raptors, Phoenix Suns, the New Orleans Pelicans, and the Charlotte Hornets, the Brooklyn Nets, the Washington Wizards, and then in last place is the Utah Jazz. I can't wait for NBA season to start. It's my favorite professional league, is the NBA. But NBA is my favorite thing to cover overall. But yeah, I like it so far. I feel like the Clippers might be a little bit too high. They have the oldest roster in NBA history. The additions they've had: Bradley Beal, John Collins, Brook Lopez, and Chris Paul. I believe. Okay. So most of those guys are over the age of 30. The Oklahoma City Thunder has proved it out of any team in the NBA. The Grizzlies a little bit if health was there. You want to start building young right now in the NBA. And that's where it's going right now. Bradley Beal, I believe he's over 30. Chris Paul's over 30. Brook Lopez as well as over 30. John Collins is only 28 years old. So yeah, and then they lost Norman Powell, who was a solid guy for the Clippers last year. I think he came off the bench and started some. So yeah, it's the Clippers. A lot of people, including myself, I don't see him doing too much this year. It depends on health, because when you have the oldest team in NBA history, it doesn't look like you'll have the best of years. And of course, Bradley Beal, if he goes like how his experiment in Phoenix went, he's not going to be healthy much. Because he missed the season multiple times. So any other teams you want to talk about, Dad?
No, it's good to see our Pistons at 11.
He's a Pistons fan. My favorite team is the Grizzlies.
That's the only team I know anything about. They've just been, with the exception of the past couple years, certainly trajecting in the right way, on the right trajectory. having added Chris Levert, Duncan Robinson out of Miami, losing Tim Hardaway Jr., Dennis Schroeder, and Lindsey Waters, and interesting to see what's going to happen with Malik Monk, unrestricted free agent who's under this investigation, as it relates to prop bets. So they're on the right way. We went to a few Pistons games, and Detroit still loves their Pistons, and it's hard not to like Mason, when he says Detroit basketball.
So, yeah,
It chills every time.
The Pistons, they had a good offseason, I think. Caris LeVert and Duncan Robinson were good replacements for Tim Hardaway Jr. and Dennis Schroeder. I hope they can keep Malik Beasley because he was insane last year.
Second in the league in three-pointers with 319, second, probably behind a guy named Steph.
Yeah. And so it looks like the Pistons will be a dangerous team from three this year with the additions of Duncan Robinson, and if they can keep Malik Beasley. And they drafted Chaz Lanier. And watching Chaz in college, you could tell he could shoot the ball from three. So, and they still got Cade. They still got Jalen Duren down low. Jaden Ivey's coming back. So Detroit will still be grit and grind, and they're just a team that can do it all on both ends of the floor. They can shoot mid-range. They can finish. They can shoot three. They can defend all parts of the floor. Where are my Grizzlies? 15th. Added Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Ty Jerome. Ty Jerome was a really good signing. I really like that signing. But losing Luke Kennard, Jay Huff, and Desmond Bane, not too good. We traded our second option away for Cole Anthony and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who's now our starting shooting guard, and a couple of picks, and we waived Cole Anthony. So I was not happy to see that Desmond Bane trade. That was a little heartbreaking for me. But I think the Grizzlies starters will be Ja Morant, KCP, Jalen Wells, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Zach Edey. But the Grizzlies, like we have been for the past couple of years, have been fighting injuries, especially with the big men. Zach Edey already has a foot injury. Jaren Jackson Jr. already has an injury. So Memphis, it's not looking too good for us at the moment. And then the Spurs, another team to look out for this year. Wemby grew as if he couldn't do any more of that. Wemby grew and then proceeded to go find his inner peace and meditate in China, and then went to go work with Hakeem Olajuwon and Kevin Garnett. So that is speaking 8 straight MVPs and probably a potential dynasty for the Spurs. I'm glad that the NBA is getting started back up. It's gonna be a fun year, of course, with LA looking dangerous, Golden State doing nothing, Orlando being dangerous, Minnesota.
Golden
being
State's
dangerous.
getting older. That's for sure. What they're doing, they're getting older.
It's gonna be a fun year. Philadelphia. I hope they can keep. I hope Jared McCain can just stay healthy. He was having a really good year last year, until he got that season-ending injury.
All right, top of the fifth, 2-1. Boston up back at the top. Still 4-0 Yankees. Appreciate you guys listening and watching and sharing. So just keep sharing and smile. Might make somebody's day.
Bye.